Hey guys, it's Lori. Do you have a problem with addiction, or do you love someone that has a problem with addiction? It's blown so out of control in the recent years. I mean, addiction's been around forever. Since substances have been around, which is forever. But in the last few years, it's really grown out of control. And one thing that I've learned is education is vital because so many people, and unfortunately people who have authority, like prosecutors, like police, like even doctors, in these clinics, don't really know a whole lot about addiction. So I want to talk about ways to, first of all, love someone through an addiction, and I'll do another video on loving yourself through an addiction. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so you love someone that's addicted. Maybe it's your husband or wife, maybe it's your child, maybe it's a parent. Whatever the case may be, it can be extremely draining. It can actually, if you don't know what you're up against, um, which I've experienced this, it can steal your soul. Seriously. First of all, every man I've ever loved is an alcoholic, and each person got more, like each one was more advanced, more severe into the disease or to the addiction. I don't know that I want to call it a disease. I know that's a controversy. It's like, is it a disease? Is it not? I was just talking to my son, and he said, I refuse to call it a disease because then that takes away my ability to choose. So I think maybe a better way to put it is your brain works different. And then on top of it, the substance adds to that. So maybe, because you're right, you have no power over like a cancer or diabetes or something like that, but, or even some mental illness. But let's say addiction makes your brain work different. Okay. So right off the bat, your brain's working different, then the substance adds to that. So, yes, if you are feeling completely drained, if you are feeling like you're a shell of the person you used to be, if you are feeling like you just have no hope, tired, just emotionally drained, just beat up emotionally, spiritually, that is 100% understandable, and it's 100%, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. This is what it does to you without education. And there are groups out there, support groups and stuff, that are very helpful. But if those support groups are uneducated, it may help a little bit, but it's going to make things worse too to some degree. So first and foremost, and these are just tips. I am willing, if you need one-on-one help, please contact me or somebody else, or join a group. Support groups are really good, like I said, but find out who they are and what kind of education they have. Okay, so number one, know what the situation is. Stop living in denial. Stop making excuses. Confront it. This is what it is. It's not what you want it to be. It's what it is. Okay? Know that. Face the reality, because if you don't face that reality, you can't move forward. And sometimes it's really hard because you know that person aside of the addiction. So it's really hard to go back and forth, okay? So know what you're facing, know what you're up against. Number two, do not mistake addictive behavior and the person's addiction for their love for you. It's not the same thing. If he loved me enough, he wouldn't drink. If she loved me enough, she wouldn't do drugs anymore. If only she knew how much I loved her. It doesn't matter. It does matter. They do need to know they're loved, but don't equate their love for you with their addictive behavior. If you do that, you're going to continually feel like they don't love you. Okay? That's why education and understanding what addiction is all about will really help you. Okay? Number three, the whole tough love question. Fine line. I think it was like in the 80s, tough love became really big, and then into the 90s, and people were like throwing each other out. And I get it. I get tough love, okay? But there's a fine line between helping and harming by enabling. But there's also, you got to understand addiction is not just, hey, I'm using the substance. Addiction has there's reasons why people get addicted. There's reasons why people initially start. So throwing somebody out isn't always the answer. But don't use common sense. Like if somebody is getting drugs off the street, don't give them money and expect them not to buy drugs off the street. Like there's a fine line. Sometimes you do have to say goodbye, but not always. Okay, so you want to go take case by case on that, and that's why you really need to be educated. You really need to have support to make those decisions. And again, it's not about your love for them. Like, I can't throw them out because I love them. Sometimes you have to throw them out because you love them. So, but it's a case-by-case situation, because you know what? When this whole tough love thing came out so big, and that's the only way to do it, I know people who have suicided. I don't know. You don't kick somebody when they're down. I just heard a prosecutor yesterday call somebody a junkie and no good and a no good father and this and that. You think that helps? I don't think that helps at all. Name calling doesn't help. It doesn't help. Putting a person down doesn't help. Showing them the reality of what their addiction has done and what their behavior through their addiction has done is, you don't have to name call. You don't have to do that. Okay? I think that's very unprofessional, and it's wrong, and it doesn't help at all. Okay, the next thing is, do have support. Please have support. Find somebody that will listen to you in a non-judgmental way. Somebody that's not going to tell you, you must do this, you must do that, but listen to you, work out things, whether it be, friends, professional. Not all your friends are going to understand, so it may be a good idea to have both. I know a lot of times people don't want to talk about it. That's the next thing I want to say. Number 5, don't be ashamed. If your loved one had AIDS, if your loved one had cancer, if your loved one had gotten in an accident or something, if your loved one was mentally ill, well, mental illness, yeah, I guess they do. We stigmatize addiction. We put a stigma to it. We judge the person. We shun what's interesting to me? If a poor person is an addict, we shun them. We treat them like crap. We have, like, the prosecutor telling them they're horrible people, they're junkies, they're not good people, they're not good fathers, blah, blah, blah. If a wealthy person has an addiction, we love them through it. We put them in the best of the best places. It's not fair, okay? It's not fair. People are people. Okay, so and number 6, I'm just going to throw this one out there. Don't take their crap. You still deserve to be treated with respect. You still deserve to be treated with dignity, as does the addict. Like I said, you shouldn't be name calling and stuff, but neither should they. If they're stealing from you, if they're calling you names, if they're doing this, doing that, you put a stop to that and don't allow it. Again, it's that fine line between enabling and helping, and just don't allow it. Don't allow the disrespect. And if that means telling them to leave, unfortunately, that's what you have to do, even if it's temporary. But do not allow disrespect. Don't let it crush your spirit. Get some help. People, and don't, one thing that bothers me a lot is people think, oh, nope, never going to change. Absolutely untrue, because you know what? Jesus can help you through anything. And if that person turns their life over to God, there is many, many, many stories. Why do you think the 12-step programs worked so wonderfully in the beginning? They don't work so well anymore. Their track record's not so good. But you know why it worked so well in the beginning? Because it wasn't a higher power. It was God. Okay? All right. Listen, I'm going to stop at this one, but I want you to know that I'm available. I'm going to start an online group, and I'm available for one-on-one counseling. If you love somebody who is an alcoholic or an addict, look in the description and shoot me a message. All right. Talk to you soon.